Hi again. Okay, I told you this would be a long one. It's in two parts. This is part two of Chiat Beyond the Binder, NISSAN. 1987 was the first part, talking about how this all started and the desire to feel like you deserve a giant, big account that all the big agencies had, a car brand. And once you have it, keep it. Because think, you get an influx of 150 million. You hired people, you get raises, you had money to spend on other things. What would happen if you lost that? You probably would have to fire not only the new people you just hired, you probably actually end up having to fire people who were there years before. That's what big pieces of business can do to agencies. So it's that opportunity to say, who are we really? What kind of an agency are we? And what gets interesting is eventually the dealers, because dealers can really make or break an agency relationship and drive you crazy. Being bitten to death by ducks, as someone once said, where you literally have to please an impossible number of people. Well, the Built for the Human Race thing did not age very well. It became just a tagline under some pretty decent ads, as I showed you, in print and some television. But really what had to happen is to rejuvenate the Nissan brand. And Chiat had a challenge. What's the next big idea we can bring that could bring everything all together and galvanize public attention? It was in the next thing, which was, I guess, in 88, the fantasy campaign. And this is where rising stars like Dick Sittig, Mr. Jack, and by the way, I'm almost nervously looking forward to seeing what Chiat does with Jack in the Box the second time. If it turns into KFC, I may have to have a ritual burning, and if they do something wonderful, maybe I'll make a video about it. So anyway, the fantasy campaign was really, really smart because, again, Chiat's stock and trade in the late 80s was knowing how to get really into the emotional side of a brand and the customers to be who had any sort of relationship with that brand. That intimate style of writing. And as things got to be more television focused, because print really started to fall off at this time at the end of the 80s, that intimate relationship with what a fantasy was. It's like, well, if I could design a car, if I could design a car company, that one, and if I could have a car, I'd have a 240X, red, no, black, no, white, blue, whatever, and then me and my shadow, which was wonderful. Again, you're bringing, I would say, a California-style art to automobiles. In most, if not all, I think they broke it a few times though. In most of Chiat's work for Nissan, they didn't do the simply car driving on the leaf-swept road and whatnot. They even had a commercial stopping to go to the bathroom at a gas station, but not filling up. See? But the fantasy campaign had some great things in there because it was archetypally correct. When people choose a car because of who they imagine they are. They want a pickup truck even though they're not a construction worker. They want an SUV even though they don't go off-road in Colorado. They want a four-door luxury sedan because they're ascendant. This is marketing strategy 101. Excuse me for being so basic here, but what they did with the fantasy campaign was something that actually hung together for a pretty decent amount of time. And the challenge, and if you ever read Karen Stabener's book, Creating Desire, which is a story of about a year inside Chiat when they were becoming big, and you've got Bob Cooperman in there, and Bob Wolf, and Lee, and all the kind of reality TV kind of stories in there. But you really see what it's like to work on a piece of business like that. where you want as many people as possible's time on the biggest piece of business. But if it wasn't exciting, you work on the small ones. If you don't know that world, I'm not going to start going sideways on that. Still talk about Nissan. Because things, after the fantasy campaign, things began to suck hard on the advertising. There were a few things here and there. Nissan toys, yes, with the little G.I. Joe and but those were one-offs. There was very little about that because I thought the idea with Mystery K was going to be a great long-term thing. It's like, enjoy the ride. Dogs love trucks. That quirkiness I thought was just about right. In fact, the whole thing with Mystery K, which was based on the actual guy at Nissan, they just got someone to play that part. Almost like he's a ghost or a spirit who comes and goes and has some magical powers of appearance, was really kind of fun. And it helped hold it all together because Enjoy the Ride had almost that Datsun, remember, kind of energy of fun, of the zippy Datsun and Nissan. But Enjoy the Ride, it had a lot of good energy. It was very California-like too. But the point is, that had some real possibilities. But when that was deemed extinguished, and then they went into Shift, everything went off the rails. Because Shift, as reductionistly beautiful as it is, you can shift this, shift that, and the promo ads for it were better than the ads. Because I think, I could be wrong, but the fear of losing the business was always there, like the wolf at the door. And they started doing things like forming a new agency group, Nissan USA, or what was it, Nissan Tomorrow Forward, whatever it was, in New York, to say we've got not only an agency for you, but we've got like a think tank for you, and anything just to make the client happy. And when the client changes, make the next client happy. And when that client goes away, make the next client happy. Keep the business. And you want to get your fingers into as much of the business as possible. But obviously what has happened is that the desire to keep your biggest client, or whatever, means you get all your fingers into the business to keep the billings, number one. And I'm not saying that that's not a bad agenda, to want to keep people employed, to want to still hire people, to want to still grow, to want to be able to say we can keep a piece of business, a legacy piece of business, like Energizer should have been. But I fault Ralston and Energizer for that, because that campaign that they had for Energizer could have gone on forever. But the client no longer believes in it, you see. So back to Nissan. That whole shift thing became kind of heady, and it lost the humanity of Enjoy the Ride, and even built for the human race. And it was really hard. It became like a real simple global thing, like they were doing the Visa and all that stuff at that time. They were being a big agency, and Chiat lost its swagger. Somewhere around that time, on the large scale, Chiat lost its swagger. See, now you go to TBWA Chiat, and you see all these pirates, and our newest pirate and our pirate. That saying, and some say Steve Jobs said it, and some said Jay Chiat said it. They were two of a kind. So whoever said it really the first time and took credit for it, whatever, it's more fun to be the pirates than the Navy, was something that was like on internal T-shirts and Christmas cards, and which I have, and mailers, and kind of an internal whispered thing, yeah. But now it's a public thing, and I don't care what anyone says, it's goddamn embarrassing. Our newest pirate, a pirate. Oh, we're a pirate. Why? What makes you a fucking pirate at that point? Really? What are you pretending? It's an idea. Even when they were using it in the 80s, internally, they didn't have pirate parties and, when everyone became an official pirate. I mean, now you've taken something this is not looking good as your strategy at the company. You take something that is inherently invisible and powerful, and you make it visceral and literal, and it loses all its energy. The people who enjoy it the most are oh yeah, I'm a pirate. And if we're catering to those people, be happy. But what happened is obviously keeping the business of Nissan became more important than doing Chiat Day level work. We're into TBWA Chiat Day land now. There was many years where I wouldn't even say the name fully. I knew Bill Tragos, and I knew what he was about, and talked to him a couple times, and I was not impressed with the TBWA. It was all about, being able to travel the world in luxury, it's TBWA. Just like Saatchi, they were about just taking over agencies at the time. And Chiat Day was, and I'm sorry to say was, the leaders of the best fucking work in the business. The best thinking, the best writing, the cleanest, clearest, most fussed over detail of the art direction. Media as creative forces, account people who supported the ideas or they got pushed out. And I know we've got a collision of other things. The internet, typography, going out the window when you're getting on the web, Google fonts, and how much can you kern them, and can you drop the dots off the I's and lower them and switch out the things? No, you can't do that with HTML. And we're in this all digital world and all that. But the point is, when you take care of the typography, you take care of each word of the writing, you're saying something not only about your agency, you're saying something about that client. That client is saying something about the world. I said it earlier, I'm going to say it again. When you do a website and you've got Google fonts all over it, the visitor feels like they're on a website, and they're there just to vet a brand or a company or you. But when you have the typography, your typography, top to bottom, inside and out, to the very back of the page, and you bring innovation and creativity to the last page of your site, then the person is in your world. And that difference between feeling like you're on a website and being in your world is worth millions. So Nissan. There's been a few high spots. There was the polar bear commercial for the Leaf, which, even though it was debated and it was criticized about whether it was ecologically accurate or whatever, it was a fantastic commercial that was simple and emotional and delivered a message that the car itself couldn't do. That was a real high spot. And if I think really hard, I might find some other high spots. But the point is, high spots that doesn't hang together, high spots that doesn't create a campaign, that doesn't give people a way of feeling about Nissan, looks at everything a certain way. A Nissan car or truck that I buy is thought of in this way, and they think about me in a certain way, has been missing. There's so much of the work, it's not just Chiat Day, but any formerly creative agency, even Wieden & Kennedy on some levels. Maybe I'll do Wieden & Kennedy binder. I don't know. The point is, in Goodby and some of the other ones from that time, their work has gotten rather bland and losing a certain amount of craft and swagger. Swagger is important. Winning awards used to be about we win them and you don't. But see, now, if you fill out your con entry form correctly and attach your fee, you're probably going to win an award, because the awards industry, and yes, I'm pointing a finger at them, the awards industry, knows they can make a lot more money if they get a lot more people to enter and a lot more people to win. When Chiat Days 1984 won the Grand Prix at Cannes, there was one. How many are there now? Grand Prix, 20, 30? One for every category? It's inflation, but to no good end. The industry and the industry partners to this day have blood on their hands. for advertising not being seen as a force for innovation and good and inspiration like it once did. I can't change it. You can't change it. Although I change it in some small ways. When I work on things that are digital for clients, I tell them the headline is not going to be SEO because I'm going to do it as an image, and in Photoshop, I'm going to nuance that fucking type to create something that others won't be able to do. You should see the logo I just designed for a client the other day. I went into 1920s Beaux-Arts scroll work and made the most lush, royal, super ornate thing. And the words that all are crusted around it are absolutely ridiculous. Can't wait to share it with you. But Nissan, for me, I probably have a little personal relationship with this. I bought 3 Nissans in a row because of Chiat Day. I always wondered, should I have written them a letter they could show to Nissan and say, we can show you directly how the advertising, and in this case, the agency sold cars. First, I bought a the last year, I think, that they had the Stanza. I went in there, actually, I wanted to buy a Sentra because I wanted the smallest car, but, all the best interior just to kind of have an interesting, different way of going. But the salesperson was trying to unload the Stanzas, and there was one in that pearl glow, which I fell in love with, and I got that, put custom wheels on it. And then, because of Chiat Day, and because of the advertising and I support the brands I believe in, and sometimes even the agencies, I bought a top-of-the-line Nissan Maxima SE. We had the aftermarket, fake wood on the dash and everything, had a CD player and all that. And that car, oh my gosh, that put 280,000 miles on it and left it in Aspen, Colorado. And then, actually, I kept that car a long time. But what I also bought, I had the very first canary yellow Nissan Xterra in St. Louis. And I upgraded it for off-road capabilities, and I actually took it to the San Juan Mountains in Ouray, Colorado for 2 different years. The second year Nissan Xterra brochure. The Xterra, there's a high point. It wasn't part of overall Nissan thing, but there were high points, and the Xterra was a high point. They were going into this time when SUVs were just really getting annoyingly stupid luxury things, and they had no pretense to the original Pathfinder or whatever. And the Xterra, like the Bronco was, it was going back to the roots of it. It was utilitarian. And they actually thumbed their nose. There was no leather and no this and that, but now, and then you could get leather later. But the initial one was so cool because it had a catalog, the dealer catalog you sent for, which was corrugated cardboard with a ring binder and pages in there, and it was just really rough and tumble. And I love that because so many people I knew were buying these luxury SUVs, and I always wanted a pickup truck, but I thought this would be cool. And it was yellow. In fact, what I did, my mobile phone at the time, I had the little mobile phone, a little holder in the phone, clicked it in so you could do speakerphone. Boy, those were cool. It was a Nokia, and I took it to the Nissan dealer and took it apart and had them paint the body the matching yellow. And I was pretty well known for that. When you have a bright yellow Nissan Xterra, you can find it in most parking lots. But what did I do? I upgraded the tires, upgraded the suspension, took what they called the Nerf bars that you could bend real easy, the step rails, and put solid steel rock sliders on it. I forget what else I did, but it was so cool. The very first day I had it, my wife at the time, we went hiking on a trail, and as we were pulling up, a guy came off from riding his bike, and his leg was bleeding pretty bad, and I said, I can help you, because that bulge in the back, at least the first few years, had a first aid kit, and I was able to render first aid, and he was blown away that it had that. So I was responsible for selling quite a few Xterras too, because I extolled all the virtues of setting up higher on the back seat and having a better view than they usually do in the back seat because the gas tank was under that and they had it lifted up higher. Anyway, the second year Xterra brochure had many pictures of my Xterra, because in the center they were showing how people are using it, and I had one with every possible bungee cord and 2 bikes on the roof and different things, and so that was kind of fun. So yes, there were high points, but generally the idea that a brand of a car company was important to say this is what we are, what we do, and how we think about things has been long gone. And for the good people at TVWA Chiat Day, I hope they keep that account for a long time and people stay employed and it grows and you get raises and other things happen, and maybe you'll win an award at Con if you just find a category that you're the only one in it. Because I think big brands deserve really good thinking. And the lesson, if I'm even beginning to bring this in for a landing, 2 very long videos, this is at 21 minutes, the one before was 27, is this. Technology advances to a point where it's pretty hard to find a car that won't last. It's pretty hard to find a car that breaks down a lot, unless you get a true lemon. The features, you can get the same features on every car. If you look at on the highway and you see 6 or 7 white or silver crossovers by different brands all in a cluster, good luck telling them apart. It's like Formula One. Why they legislated all the cars have to look alike. It's just so soulless. Look at what Grand Prix Formula One looked like in 67, 68, 69. Then you'll see some beautiful machines that all look different. But see, cars are kind of like past their prime. With the flood of people moving into cities and hopefully mass transit, and me, a cyclist, cars don't mean what they used to. There's still a heartbeat, like in the Midwest and the South, and people who still love their old hot rods, and look at what Chrysler, Dodge and Plymouth, there's no more Plymouth, but Dodge, and Mustang and Camaro, they bring out these things that essentially look like the ones from the 60s. And they put these big monster engines in them, and they've got the really narrow, high door sills, which make them really unfriendly and tough. There's a market for that. There's definitely a market for that. But in other words, if you're an automobile company with global interests, partners, and all that, don't you think it would be a good idea that people around the world, when they thought of your name, they thought of something unique and human that is voiced through branding, that means something to them? And it's hard when everyone thinks that you're chasing TikTok and Instagram and whatever else just to find anything and anybody anymore. Where does the brand live? We still have out of home billboards, and if you have the most interesting car on the road and people wonder what it is, they'll find out about it. All the reviewers now, see the commercials that people really pay attention to now when they buy a car. They watch a video on YouTube of someone reviewing it. And they'll find out more information, and they'll find out if the person really likes it, or if they're passionate, or if they're knocking it, whatever. So Chiat Day and Nissan. I haven't done the math because I don't care about this, whether they've had Apple longer or Nissan longer, but that's a damn long time. So a lot of people come and go on that account. A lot of typography has come and gone. It's really sad when you get to the point where the typeface is indistinguishable from Google font, If you, in fact, let me do something right now. I want you to think about Built for the Human Race. I want you to think about Enjoy the Ride. And if someone goes to the Nissan site right now, and the new logo that's just so minimal, it's like, a logo. And, it's not, I'm just picking on Chiat Day and Nissan, but every time a big brand does this, our new logo, Anheuser-Busch, come on. It's like, how long did it take you to think that? I know, I don't want to watch a 15-minute making of a video on how this line turned into that. This signifies this in the meaning. It's embarrassing. I know you want to justify your fees, and you got to have something to say. And if you do, if they want a new logo, they want to talk about it. You can't fight that, can you? Or can you? But if I go to Google and I can click on the ad and cost them money, I won't do that. I'll go to an organic there. Okay, so it's Nissan. First thing I see is a slider. It says Nissan electrification. The future of driving is electric. Really? I knew that, but there's nothing on the home page. And this is where I felt Nissan for far more than Chiat. In fact, it's pretty hard to say in this day and age if Chiat had anything to do with this Nissan site. But branding. This is video number 12, I guess, part 2, 12.1. Look at what we've talked about. And in every single example, I've told you how the great work of Chiat is relevant and needed today in any medium, on any platform. Manufacturers, brands, and sometimes agencies increasingly are telling us it doesn't matter. One brand from the next, one pizza company from the next, one car from the next. They're all pretty much the same. So, I don't know, influencers or whatever you do. That's pretty depressing. But if you believe in human beings, these actual human beings, no, we're not all going to put on goggles and disappear into the so-called metaverse. Some people will, and you'll have to have a presence there. But for the vast majority, during our lifetimes, who are still human beings, is there a way you can inspire someone about a car manufacturer? And bring out a truth of what they really are and make it more interesting and human and convincing and compelling? They did it for Honda. They did it for Yamaha. They did it for Porsche. And they've done it now and again delightfully for Nissan. But are we in a world now where branding doesn't matter? Do we say we don't know why people buy things? We don't know how people buy things. We don't know what they think about us, and it doesn't matter. It's more important about data points and, what did the Nissan guy say? Yeah. Precision marketing. We will reach customers at every point of their day, wherever they are. Oh, tracking. See, if you're an ad agency and you're working for a very large global entity, they make decisions out of your hands. You've got to be a pretty powerful person at an agency, a real character, with a lot of money and a lot of influence and a lot of clout to be able to talk to them, the CEO, and change anything. I don't know who the most powerful character is at Chiat anymore. I don't know who at Chiat could sit in a room with the Pope or with a king or a president and be influential. I've been in those rooms. So Chiat and Nissan. I don't know how many ads, magazine ads, newspaper ads, radio commercials, TV commercials, billboards, dealer brochures and signs, collateral, direct mail. Well, you get subsidiary companies to do that stuff, right? And how many banner ads and online videos, because I think the last stuff from the you-know-what bowl with, Schitt's Creek kind of connections, that sucked. As an advertising example, it sucks. It's nowhere as good as anything in the fantasy campaign. It's nowhere as good as toys. It's nowhere as good as enjoy the ride. But it's big, and it looks high budget, and it looks like celebrity. Make your campaign look like it's a celebrity, and your work is done. Well, I told you this would be a bit of a teardown, and it has been. I do it because I care. I care about advertising. I care about business success. I care about branding. And Chiat fucking Day turned me on as a young pup, and still does. It still does. And it always will. I just pray that people who are running those divisions and shops care about it as much as I do. Next video, we'll go deeper into the binder. Xerox copies of a bunch of different Chiat Day clients. Some you may know, some you may not. I'll share some news articles that I've saved over the years. I'll go into my personal stash of correspondence with Leyland Clow and his mother. And I may talk about other brands and other clients of theirs from other points. I may open up either one of the Chiat Day books and spin around in there. Why? Because I fucking care. See you soon. Thanks for watching, and hope you learned something from this, because if you're trying to figure out what your standards are as a young person, if you're trying to figure out what to do for your big client, learn from the best and even learn from their mistakes. I know I do. Thanks for watching.